Series war moves one step closer. It's Game 1 of the 1997 American League Championship Series. In one division series, the Orioles' dominating pitching dismantled the Mariners' high-powered offense with a shocking defeat.
And it's over! And the Orioles have advanced to the American League Championship Series, and they are going crazy here at Camden Yards.
In the other, a classic test of survival between the Indians and Yankees came down to a decisive fifth game, where a 21-year-old rookie delivered a dagger to the heart of the world champions.
Giles is there. Celebrate.
Tonight, the Indians arrive with more heart and desire than anyone could have imagined. This team never says die, as players like Sandy Alomar and Omar Vizquel are poised to stand and deliver. The Orioles' Cal Ripken Jr. walks with the giants of the game. Tonight, he looks to the eyes of Scott Erickson, whose vision for victory is clear. Who has the fire to reach for the eternal flame of the Fall Classic? Game 1 of the American League Championship Series is next on Fox. The American League Championship Series pregame show on Fox is brought to you by Ameritrade, the smartest way to trade, period. Here's Chip Carey.
We invite you to come inside this magnificent ballpark, Oriole Park at Camden Yards, for Game 1 of the American League Championship Series between the Indians and the Baltimore Orioles. Taking the mound for Cleveland is right-hander Chad Ogea. A great year this year against the Orioles, 2-1, a .225 earned run average, including a 2-hit shutout this May. For the Orioles, it's power right-hander Scott Erickson on the mound. He won Game 2 of the divisional series with the Mariners, his first career postseason win. A gorgeous night for baseball. Tonight, two teams begin a battle for a championship. It's Game 1 of the American League Championship Series between the Cleveland Indians and the Baltimore Orioles. Hello again, everybody. I'm Chip Carey along with Steve Psycho Lyons. Welcome to Baltimore for Game 1 of the ALCS. And Psycho, already a lot of talk about momentum. The Indians with that emotional 5-game win over the Yankees. The Orioles were hoping to play New York. Well, they've got the Indians instead.
Well, you know, when you talk about momentum, you can talk about it in a couple different ways. I really believe the Indians needed that 5-game series against the Yankees to come in here sky high with a lot of confidence. They have a lot of atmosphere around that ball club. They're happy-go-lucky. But when you look at the Orioles, they just needed to come in here very calmly. A lot of confidence. They kicked the butts of a very good Mariner team. They had an extra day off. That gave Cal Ripken a little bit more time for his back, and it gave Arthur Rhodes a little bit more time for that sore elbow to heal up.
And they are sky high for tonight's Game 1 here in Baltimore. They were sky high earlier today in Atlanta at Turner Field for Game 2 of the National League Championship Series. The Florida Marlins surprisingly had a 1-0 lead, and Alex Fernandez on the mound today. He got hammered in the first inning. Ryan Klesko hit a mammoth 2-run homer to make it 3-0 Atlanta. Then in the third, Chipper Jones greets him with his second home run in as many days as well. Braves led it early, 5-0. Fernandez to the showers, 2 2/3 innings of work, his shortest stint since 1995, and Tom Glavine was brilliant. A 3-hitter for the Braves today as they even the series with a 7-1 win down at Turner Field in Atlanta. Game 3 will take place Friday in Miami. As always, time now for a little psychoanalysis as we get set for the ALCS. An interesting matchup on the mound, Steve. Chad Ogea gets the call for the Indians. A bit of a change-up for Mike Hargrove tonight.
Well, it's a good choice of words, Chip, because that's what Ogea features. His changeup is his best pitch, and I'm not all that surprised they go with Ogea because he did the best against the Orioles during the season. 2-1. I talked to Cal Ripken earlier today. He said Ogea likes to stay away from the right-handed hitters, move the ball in and out, and then use that changeup to keep you off balance. Now, for the Orioles, you're going to see Scott Erickson. If he gets up in the zone, he can get in trouble, but he won 16 games because he throws pitches like that. Down in the zone, nasty sliders, hard sinkers.
Bit of a role reversal for this series as well. Last year in the first-round matchup, it was the Indians with the best record in the American League. Baltimore upset them. Well, the circumstances are a bit different this year, and I know the Indians would love to issue a little payback here in Baltimore.
Well, Indian fans, you know, we love those guys. We were there for Game 5 of the divisional series, and they thought we wanted the Yankees to win. That's not necessarily true, but they're going to be mad at me now because I really believe the Orioles are the best team in this series. They have better starting pitching. They have better team defense. Pitching and defense wins you championships, and they have a better bullpen. So I like the Orioles in this series.
Wow.
And the Indian fans are going to be mad.
You say it's a foregone conclusion, so how can the Indians steal a game or maybe the series?
You are so good with those play-on words.
Hanging with
the
you.
stealing is what's going to happen. The only advantage that the Indians have right now is their team speed. They have to get the guys in the top of their order. Biff Roberts on base. Omar Vizquel, he stole 4 bases in the division series against the Yankees. Bob Brenly will tell you a little bit more about that situation. Here's the big leg kick by Erickson, and guess what? If you put pressure on these Oriole catchers, you can steal some bases. Hoyles is the worst in the American League at just 15% throwing out base runners. Tonight it's Lenny Webster. He has the sore elbow. With that high leg kick of Erickson, it's going to be tough to throw out runners.
And Steve, as you know, you've got to put pressure on the Orioles starters as well. They have the best bullpen in the American League, maybe even all of baseball, and a big lift for Davey Johnson's ball club as well. They've got Arthur Rhodes back in good shape.
Well, Arthur Rhodes is the key to that bullpen, but they match up very well against left and right-handed hitters. They can go to Orozco, they can go to Mills, they can go to Rhodes, and then they hand the ball over to Randy Myers, who's flat out the best in the game, only blew 1 save all year long. I like to call these guys the Donnie Brasco bullpen. Give the ball to them and forget about it.
Well, final thoughts for tonight's game. This is a huge game for the Orioles. They're expected to advance to the World Series, and they have to get a big game from Scott Erickson tonight. Jimmy Key is tomorrow night's pitcher, and he's won only 1 game in Baltimore since May for the Orioles. So Erickson will be on the spot for the Orioles tonight. All right, it's game 1 of the American League Championship Series between the Indians and the Baltimore Orioles. First pitch just minutes away. Time to send it across to Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, and Bob Brenly. Hello, guys.
Hello, Chip. Thank you very much, and welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I guess we're all thrilled to have been a part of that division series between the Yankees and the Cleveland Indians. So memorable, so many memorable moments. We're hoping for more of the same in this ALCS. And I guess when you go into any series, you look at advantages for each side. Psycho just talked about it. The running game has got to be a big advantage for the Cleveland Indians.
And Joe, I really feel it's an advantage that they need to exploit, not only throughout the series, but especially tonight against Scott Erickson. Cleveland Indians have good speed at the top of the order with Biff Roberts and Omar Vizquel. They also have good speed at the bottom with Brian Giles, Marquise Grissom. I just don't think against a power sinker ball pitcher like Scott Erickson, you can afford to go station to station baseball. 33 times this year, American leaguers grounded into double plays behind him. An amazing stat for me. 75% of the balls that were put into play against Scott Erickson were hit on the ground. Of course, now the problem becomes, how do you get on first?
Should I say it?
Say it.
You can't steal first base. There, it's been said, and I guess that's the problem for the Cleveland Indians coming into this series with the Orioles. The big advantage for Baltimore is they got to sit back and watch that division series with Cleveland and New York, get that good pitching in line.
Yeah, Joe, Baltimore's pitching staff has had the birds flying high all year. As a matter of fact, they were second to the New York Yankees in earned run average for the season, but look what they did to the Seattle Mariners in a 4-game series. A .84 minuscule ERA, only 7 walks and 42 strikeouts. So the Orioles pitching staff did their jobs, and I think the reason the Orioles are favored because of the Baltimore pitching staff and the Cleveland Indians starting Chad Ogea, who started none of the division series games against the Yankees.
And tonight makes his first ever postseason start in his very young career. We can't wait. Getting ready for game 1 of the ALCS. We are glad you are with us. It's the Orioles, it's the Indians. Starting lineup. First pitch coming up after this from your local Fox station.
The American League Championship Series pregame show on Fox has been brought to you by Ameritrade.
That is it. Game 1 of the 1997 American League Championship Series. We are glad you are with us on Fox. Scott Erickson getting ready to go. We are at Oriole Park at Camden Yards for Game 1 after that thrilling divisional series that we took part in and got a chance to watch firsthand with the Indians and the Yankees. A look at the Cleveland Indians starting lineup. They'll lead it off with Biff Roberts at second. Omar Vizquel batting second at short. Manny Ramirez is hitting third and right. Jim Thome cleans up. David Justice is the DH. And you look at his numbers this season against Baltimore. Matt Williams at third. Sandy Alomar is catching. Brian Giles in left. And Marquise Grissom is batting ninth in center field. Take a look at the Oriole defense. With Surhoff, Anderson, and Baroa in the outfield. Baroa at times can be shaky. but they did not commit an error defensively in their division series against the Seattle Mariners. And on the mound tonight, 29-year-old right-hander Scott Erickson.
I think that's a very important point, Joe. 146 chances against the Mariners and no errors, and it's going to really come into play tonight with Scott Erickson pitching, because as Bob said in the opening, 3 out of 4 pitches that the offense makes contact with are on the ground. So expect the defensive infield to come into play very much with Erickson tonight.
You know, we've talked about Scott Erickson's sinker ball. A heavy, heavy sinker ball, moves down when he keeps it down. He also throws a very hard, late-breaking slider. He has been changing speeds a little more towards the end of the season, and his pickoff move, he has worked very hard on holding runners closer to first base, but it is still not a great pickoff move. I really still feel the Indians are going to need to try to run on him whenever they do get runners on base. He used to use a slide step from time to time to try to nullify the running game. Normally when he goes to the slide step, that sinker gets up in the zone, becomes a very hittable pitch. So rather than risk throwing bad pitches to the hitter, he pretty much disregards the base runner.
And the Cleveland Indians used a lot of that team speed against the New York Yankees, as Chip and Steve talked about in the pregame show here tonight. Oriole Park at Camden Yards, the 6th season they've been playing baseball on this site here in Baltimore, opening up in April of 1992, and they pack over 48,000 into this park to watch the Orioles, a team that won 98 games during the regular season this year, and they won the American League's Eastern Division. It will be Bib Roberts, Omar Vizquel, and Manny Ramirez here in the first inning of Game 1 of the ALCS. How do we begin? With a strike. We remind you once again, this broadcast also available in Spanish by utilizing the SAP button on your television. An early chance for Ripken, one away.
Scott Erickson getting ahead with the fastball, and then that wicked slider on the fist of Biff Roberts. Biff fighting it off to Cal Ripken. Watch the break on this slider right on the hands.
So Roberts, who is 6 out of 19 in that series with New York, who's held off base here in his first at-bat of this series, and now Omar Vizquel, who was as valuable as any player the Indians had when they beat the Yankees, hit .500 in that series. Here he takes ball 1 high.
I think if Omar gets a bunt down, he's not going to get it down third base. Cal Ripken about 8 feet in front of the bag at third.
1-1.
And creeping in further as the pitch is delivered. This almost looks like a fast-pitch softball game. Well, the Orioles know how important the top 2 guys in this Indians order are, and they're going to do everything in their power to keep them off base.
That's strike 2 on Vizquel.
Vizquel has been on base against Scott Erickson 17 times in his career. Matter of fact, that is the most hits he has against any other American League pitcher.
Set up here at a ball and 2 strikes. 2-2. Manny Ramirez will follow here in the first inning. If anybody gets on base, Jim Thome. Omar able to stay alive as that pitch came up and in. The home plate umpire tonight is Joe Brinkman. He is joined by his friends Jim Joyce at first, John Hirschbeck at second, Durwood Merrill at third with Larry McCoy down the left field line, and Mike Riley down the right field foul line. Full count. One out, nobody on here in the first inning, and that's foul.
Well, Erickson's not a guy that is normally going to tire
because of pitch count. He's a real horse. He takes the ball. He throws his 200-plus innings every year. Going to be around that strike zone. Of course, he would much prefer the ball be put in play early in the count, but if he has to go deep in the count, he can.
2 gone as Vizquel strikes out.
Nasty sinker, starts at the bottom of the knees. The bottom falls out. Vizquel with 2 strikes trying to protect that plate, realizes way too late that that pitch is going to bottom out of the strike zone and tries to buy his way on base by running on down the line as if it were ball 4, but Joe Brinkman not buying.
So with 2 out, nobody on, here's Manny Ramirez. Came up with 1 enormous hit in the division series against the New York Yankees, the 2-out 2-run double in the deciding Game 5, and later scored a run for that 3-run inning for the Indians, which came in the 3rd. They got another in the 4th and rode that to a 4-3 win over New York. 2 out, nobody on here in the 1st inning, and 1-1 on Ramirez. Career against the Orioles, 6 home runs and an average better than .350. Bases empty with 2 out. That's strike 2. Talk about the double. We'll show you the double. Game 5. 3rd inning, 2 out against Andy Pettitte, an 0-2 pitch, which was the key. He let Ramirez get away from him. The 2-out 2-run double, and later scored on a hit by Matt Williams. Crowd here in Baltimore wants a 1-2-3 first inning. That's into right center field for Brady Anderson. Track, wall, leaps, got it. Defense and pitching, that'll win you championships. We mentioned no errors. Brady flashing leather early.
Ramirez initially hit that ball. It was hard to believe that it would go this far. Brady Anderson timing it perfectly, and it looked like that ball would have been out of the ballpark were it not for the soft hands of Brady Anderson. Fine play.
Notorious Hitters Park, Orioles Park, Camden Yards. Hitters love to come here.
Take a quick look at the Baltimore lineup. They lead it off with Brady Anderson, and Roberto Alomar bats second. Geronimo Barroa hits 3rd in right field. The numbers against the Indians this season. He's followed by Palmeiro cleaning up, Surhoff in left, Cal Ripken at 3rd, Harold Baines the DH, Lenny Webster catching, and Mike Bordick, who was a hero in the division series against Seattle, bats 9th and short. And here's the right-hander, first postseason start, the 26-year-old Chad Ogea.
He does have postseason experience this year, however. 1 appearance. You may remember the first batter he faced, Paul O'Neill, hit a grand slam. After that, he settled in, gave up only 1 other base hit in that appearance. Was very strong.
Brady Anderson gets the chance to lead off, goes deep to right. It's been a good 5 minutes for Brady Anderson. 1-0 Baltimore.
Right out of bed, looking for the breaking ball, getting the breaking ball, extending. Goodbye. 1 pitch, 1 run.
Our pitching coaches will always tell you be careful with that first pitch of the game. So you throw a backdoor breaking ball, and Brady Anderson still hits it out of the ballpark.
Now Roberto Alomar takes a strike, and Chad Ogea saying, what do I have to do? He comes in Game 3 against the Yankees, faces Paul O'Neill, grand slam. He starts this game, first pitch, home run. The good news is for the Indians and their fans, he settled down after that grand slam, and they hope for more as he deals with Alomar, Barroa, and Palmeiro. That's strike 2.
Leadoff home runs. No surprise for Brady Anderson. He set a major league record with 12 last year, 27 for his career.
Wow. Alomar is jammed and fouls it down the third baseline out of play. Still 1-2 on Roberto Alomar.
Instant offense. One pitch, one run.
Brady Anderson, who hit 50 home runs last year, hit only 18 during the regular season in 1997. To the left side for Vizquel. The long throw, and Alomar is gone for the first out here in the first. Omar Vizquel, part of that very good Cleveland Indians defense. And we highlight Omar Vizquel, who's playing in his 25th straight postseason game, hoping for no errors. He's already played in 24 straight, longest ever by a shortstop, and he's 1 for 1 with his chances here tonight. Base is empty, one out for Baroa, and he takes a strike.
That'd be a good sign for the Baltimore Orioles, though, the way Robbie Alomar got down the first baseline. He made that a very close play on a routine ground ball to short.
One to Bip Roberts after the home run. Back-to-back groundouts by Alomar and Baroa, 2 gone.
Get a look at Robbie Alomar going down the base path right here at full speed. No limp, no hitch in the giddy up there. Throughout the latter part of the season, it seemed like Roberto Alomar would really pick his spots when to turn it on. Although it didn't appear he was going 100% that time, he still made it a close play at first.
100% might have made it a better result. Strike one on Palmeiro. I think Alomar has to be shocked at how close that play actually was, as Vizquel took his time getting it over to first. But he made the play for the out. Now with 2 out, nobody on, it's Palmeiro. They have Palmeiro, I would say, played the pull. Infield, outfield, shifted way over to the right.
Well, he definitely pulls the ball on the ground up until 2 strikes. When he gets to 2 strikes, he becomes a little bit more of a defensive hitter, but the majority of the time when he's either ahead in the count or the count is even, he's going to pull the ball on the ground. And now Vizquel has swung way over on the second base side. 3 Indians on the right side of the infield.
All things really lead up to it. There are 2 outs, and you have a guy who features the off-speed pitch on the mound. More apt to pulling.
Ogea behind on the count, 2 balls and a strike. Told me the easy play to his right, inning over. What a first inning for Brady Anderson. First he took one away, and then he gave one to the Orioles and their fans here at Camden Yards. After game one, 1-0 Orioles. From Boog Powell's barbecue stand out beyond the wall in right field. One of the many little features of Camden Yards. They did it right when they built this ballpark and opened it up in 1992. Jim Thome leads it off and takes the ball down and in from Scott Erickson. Only 3 hits in that division series with the Yankees. Bordick to his left. Thome is gone.
Boog Powell, a legend here in the Baltimore area, played for the Orioles for about 12 years. Recently with cancer surgery. He's in our thoughts and the Orioles' thoughts tonight.
Here's David Justice. For the season, hit over 300 in his first year in the American League, coming over from Atlanta. Last year had complete reconstruction of his right shoulder. In the divisional series, 5 out of 19. We were there at that series, and as you write down these numbers, after that series with Cleveland and New York, you look at Ramirez 3 out of 21. Cholmy 3 out of 15. Justice 5 hits. And those 3 combined only 1 home run. Yet the Indians knock off the world champion Yankees and have to roll into this series the underdog, but definitely a team with a lot of confidence and a lot of heart this season. Look at Justice and where he ranks. The top designated hitter this season in the American League. Ahead of Edgar Martinez, and there he is on base with 1 out here in the second.
That's the thing the Indians will have to do against Scott Erickson. Take him up the middle and the other way. When that sinker is going away, you can't try to pull him. Otherwise, you play pepper with the second baseman all night long. Good piece of hitting by David Justice. That's what you do to the sinker ball away. Try to take it right back through the middle.
Here's Matt Williams. 1 on, 1 out. Tying run is on for the Indians here in the second of game 1. In case you're wondering, Justice stole only 3 bases during the regular season. None in the series with New York. But as you talked about, not necessarily just to steal bases in this game against Erickson, but getting runners started and getting things moving on the bases. To the right side, foul territory off the bat of Williams and caught by Palmeiro. 2 out.
And Matt Williams hitting the ball in the air this time, but it was on a breaking ball. Most of the ground balls come on that sinker down and into the right-handed hitters. As we get a look at Palmeiro, getting the help of the home crowd here, they kind of stay out of his way, give him an opportunity to catch that ball. Of course, their cameramen, they always get out of the way.
You don't think like a fan would reach over and interfere in a series like an ALCS? Or... No, that would never happen. 1 on, 2 out. Sandy Alomar.
I think the people in Baltimore have heard enough about fans reaching over and interfering.
I think really people around the world have heard enough about that.
Young Jeffrey Mayer last year.
A strike to Alomar.
And you've seen Erickson a couple of times during the course of Dave Justice being on first base, step off the rubber. One thing you can do as a pitcher, if your pickoff move is not that effective and you feel the opposition is going to run on you throughout the series, is just change your rhythm on your delivery to home plate. Quick pitch one time, hold the ball the next, step off the rubber. Give them as many different looks as you can over there at first base.
Right now, Sandy Alomar is looking at an 0-2 hole. Alomar got under it to left field for Surhoff. A 1-out hit by Justice. The Indians lead their first. After an inning and a half here in Baltimore, with Mr. Baltimore coming up in the second. 1-0 Orioles.
1997 American League Championship Series on Fox is brought to you by Miller Lite, to remind you that anything can happen at Miller time. By Buick Century, discover a little luxury this century. By Aflac, insuring over 40 million people worldwide. And by Oracle, the company that's enabling the information age through network computing.
We have really been blessed with great weather in this 1997 postseason. Temperatures are up. The rain has stayed away, and as B.J. Surhoff leads it off, he takes ball 1 from Chad Ogea. 3 out of 11 against Seattle, and during the regular season, just a solid player year after year after year. Foul for strike 1.
Surhoff came to the big leagues as a natural catcher, gravitated to third base, now finds himself in left field, and has worked very hard on his defense to become a better than average fielder at all those positions.
On the infield for Omar Vizquel. And Surhoff is the first down. It'll bring in Cal Ripken Jr. We asked Cal about the feelings it brings you as a big leaguer to play in the postseason.
the most exciting thing. It's what you play for. It's everything that you can imagine it can be. It's nerve-wracking. It's a highly pressurized situation. But there's no better feeling that you can have than competing in that atmosphere.
Here he is competing in the ALCS as these Orioles trying to get back to the World Series for the first time since 1983.
That was Cal Ripken's only World Series. Breaking in with the Orioles in 1982. The Tickers now at 2,478 games in a row.
1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, talking about that postseason experience, Tim, as you get a look at Cal Ripken's resume the last 16 seasons, playing in the postseason, I'll tell you, it'll bring out the best in some guys, it'll bring out the worst in some guys, but it will leave no one unaffected. You have memories that you keep forever. Some are good, some are bad.
That's outside to Ripken, 2-1. A lot of people said a lot of things about Cal Ripken toward the tail end of 1997. People even went so far as to talk about him sitting out a couple of games, threatening the streak, which it is now known as, breaking Lou Gehrig's streak. Some said selfish, he's hurting the team, but I'll tell you what, Cal Ripken has proved in this postseason once again he's a money player, and he says strain back, no strain back, jump on my back, and I can carry you still.
You know, 16 or 17 years ago, the streak had a whole other connotation.
Little flare into right field. Roberts out to take one away from Ripken. Care to elaborate? Or you just want to leave it at that?
You know, back in those days, it was the fashion for people to run out in public, very scantily clothed if at all, and they called that streaking, and that was quite the rage on the college campus. I don't think we'll see Cal do that anytime soon.
He's got that other one covered. Here's Harold Baines. He takes a pitch up and away for ball 1. Here's another guy, year after year after year. 300 hitter during the regular season, splitting the season between the White Sox and the Orioles. Up the middle, Roberts to his right. The dive, the throw, wild and safe as Baines. Backing up is Alomar, and Harold is on at first with 2 out here in the second.
Nice stop up the middle by Bip Roberts. I think he didn't realize how much time he had. Harold Baines does not run well at all. Gets to the ball in good shape right there. Gets to his feet in good shape. He had more time to make a good throw right there, but pulls Thome up the line. Harold has a hurdle over Jim Thome.
And the throw was low enough to where it didn't skip over into the photographer's booth. Backed up nicely by Alomar.
It's a base hit, scored as a base hit with 2 out, and Lenny Webster walks to the plate. Talk about a guy who's come out of nowhere for these Orioles and really chipped in and had a fine season for Baltimore. Hoyles was banged up. They got a lot out of Lenny Webster.
Lenny Webster signing with the Minnesota Twins. He came to the big leagues in 1987. Played sparingly the first 3 years. He was on the 1991 World Championship Minnesota Twins. Had never caught 6 games in a row until this year. That's sparingly.
One of those guys who's just been a career backup, whether it's been in Montreal or Philadelphia. There he is in Baltimore, just splitting time, just about right down the middle with Hoyle. Ogea falls behind, 2 balls and a strike. John Stearns is the Orioles' first base coach. Here are his thoughts on the pickoff move of Chad Ogea.
Got an average move. His best move over here is when he's at the top of the stretch. Top of the stretch. 2 down now. You're moving on the hit. Here we go.
There he's referring to that move that some right-handed pitchers will do, where they start into their stretch, and when they get about the middle of the stretch, they throw over to first from that position rather than from the set position.
To the left side for Williams. The easy way to second. Inning over, and now the Orioles have left a man. We've played 2 here in Baltimore. Game 1 of the ALCS. A home run by Anderson. 1-0 Orioles.
Ray Miller, the pitching coach of the Orioles, says that consider 11 o'clock when you're looking at Scott Erickson. Of course, this is 12 here. If he drops to around 10 o'clock, he is getting under his sinker. That gives you an idea at home to see whether he stays on top of that sinker or not. When he drops down, he could be in trouble. That was a good sinker right there when that arm is about at 11 o'clock. You hear that often. We thought we would illustrate it for you.
If he's still pitching at 11 o'clock, then it's a good sign.
That's right. Real good sign.
Up the middle for Portick to his left. Off the bat of Giles, and the leadoff man is gone here in the 3rd inning for Cleveland.
Just the byproduct, Timmy, if they drop down too far, the ball will tail rather than sink. The movement will be flat back into the hitter, a very easy pitch to handle, as opposed to that downward movement on the sinker.
That sinker right there, going down at the last minute. Giles grounds out to shortstop, hitting the top half of the ball.
Marquise Grissom, bothered by a touch of the flu. He takes strike 1 from Erickson.
And it doesn't take much.
No.
I mean, the difference in a good sinker and a bad, flat, tailing fastball isn't very much.
Sometimes it could be the difference between 11 and 10:45. You hear that so often that pitchers should stay on top. Catchers are reminded to remind pitchers, stay on top. That's what they're talking about. Keep it at 11 o'clock.
0-2 to Grissom. Ball and 2 strikes in Marquise, who was 4 out of 17 in the divisional series. You look at his outfield hits by direction. As he bats here with 1 out, nobody on in the 3rd, he will spread it around. Play him straight away in the 1-2. Ripken to his left.
Cal Ripken struggled initially in his move to 3rd base. He asked his father, Cal Ripken Sr., of course, a great infield instructor in his day with the Orioles, how long is it going to take me to get used to this? Dad told him that'd take you around 100 games. You'll start to feel more comfortable. And Cal has certainly settled in after a rocky start to this season. A very, very good 3rd baseman.
22 errors during 1997 as Bip Roberts takes a ball.
The biggest difference defensively in the move from short to 3rd is that at 3rd base, the ball is on top of you much more quickly. You have a chance to adjust at shortstop.
That is past Ripken and past Portick for a 2-out hit for Bip Roberts. Now 7 out of 21 this postseason.
Well, there hasn't been very much hit by Mike Portick in the postseason this year. He has made all the plays against Seattle in that series, and almost comes up with that one.
Running situation right here. Vizquel, a base stealer himself, may take a pitch or 2.
That initial move there by Erickson wasn't too far away from a balk,
even though he broke contact with the pitching line.
Ooh, that was close. That was close to a pickoff as Roberts just got back in time.
Well, we talked about varying the delivery to home plate, also vary the pickoff to first base. You can see Erickson is standing there getting a sign and makes a snap throw before he even gets his sign from the catcher, Lenny Webster.
You can hear the first base umpire, Jim Joyce, calling Roberts safe, but it was close. And another look.
Now Vizquel will step out of the box, give Roberts a chance to get set again. And his experience as a base stealer he knows what Roberts is going through at first base right now.
Starts and stops, and the Orioles pitch out, ball one. Well, you can already tell, guys, that Erickson is thinking heavily about this Cleveland Indian running game.
Well, one thing the postseason will give you a lot more of than you get during the regular season is the emphasis on the scouting reports and what we talked about in the open, the weaknesses, the strengths, how you can attack the opposition, where you may have an edge. And I'm sure Erickson has had it pounded into his head coming into this start that he needs to pay a lot of attention to those base runners.
Thing about good speed at first base, it creates so many better hitting situations for a batter. The pitch out, a 1-0 count. Vizquel looking fastball. He just fouled it back. See what they do on the even count here.
Roberts at first with 2 out, and with 2 out, the guy like Vizquel at the plate. Now a 1-1 count. Another way to slow down that running game, throw strikes. Going, and Vizquel fouls it back, strike 2.
Great jump by Roberts. Bibb making sure, looking at third base coach Jeff Newman, because with 2 outs, there's no need to look back and see if the ball is put in play in the air or on the ground. See, Bibb doesn't look, and with 2 outs, that's the reason he doesn't look. With none or 1 out, he would look back to see where the ball was put in play.
1-2 on Omar Vizquel. Going again, the pitch a ball that's thrown nowhere close, and Roberts will head to third. Stolen base, E2. And it's Roberts at third with 2 out here in the third.
Well, not only is it advantageous for the Indians to try to run on Scott Erickson with the big leg kick and the slow delivery, but Lenny Webster's had some elbow problems on that right arm, and you can see he airmails this ball over everybody into center field. Bibb Roberts with the head first slide into second this time, quickly to his feet and advances to third.
Also, something to consider, what makes a pitcher effective to a batter also can make him ineffective in holding runners. The fact that Erickson throws the sinker down and away, that's the toughest pitch for a catcher to throw.
Runner at third, Vizquel squirts one back to Erickson. And the Indians lead their second of the night. Bottom of the third inning. Orioles bat leading by 1.
And
bottom of the third inning, Orioles bat. Our overhead shots are courtesy of the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes, based in Pompano Beach, Florida. At the controls, Captain Larry Chambers from Lighthouse Point, Florida. Never been there, but it just sounds like a beautiful place.
Lighthouse Point.
Yeah.
It
Probably
is.
Mike Bordick, Brady Anderson, Roberto Alomar.
Bordick had a good division series against Seattle. 4 base hits and 10 trips to the plate. Also walked 4 times, which really helped Brady Anderson. On base a lot in front of him. Opened that hole on the right side. Brady Anderson, a full hitter on the ground, found that hole. He hit .353 against the Mariners.
Ogea behind on the count, 2-1, 3-1.
Time to challenge, time to finesse. This is the time that you have to challenge Mike Bordick with Brady Anderson on deck.
Bordick up on the count, 3 balls and a strike. Full count. Kind still looked like Bordick was taking on 3-1.
But he's going to get the same pitch 3-2 that he got 3-1. Give a pitcher a chance to throw a ball on 2 pitches, not 1.
Bordick leading off with a full count. Roberts to his left. And Bordick starts this ALCS 0 for 1. That will bring in Brady Anderson, a first-inning hero. Took a home run away from Manny Ramirez. And then tagged Chad Ogea in the bottom of the first inning on the first pitch the Orioles would see in this ALCS. And Anderson, his second postseason leadoff home run. Hitting 90 miles per hour from Ogea for strike 1.
Ogea really does have a fine assortment of pitches. He can rush that fastball in there 90, 91, maybe 92 on occasion. The great changeup we talked about, overhand curve. It's kind of a short arm delivery. The ball seems to kind of jump at the hitter. Goes almost like a catcher out there on the mound. Kind of cocks the ball behind his right ear before he delivers it.
Unloaded, strike 2.
Chad Ogea with the first inning home run to Brady Anderson, the first hitter he faced, and as Joe mentioned, the first hitter he faced on Saturday night in Cleveland. Paul O'Neill with a grand slam. But like Saturday night, he appears to have settled down and settled in after the leadoff homer.
1 out, nobody on, and Anderson 2-2.
Maybe his next start, he want to think about walking the leadoff hitter intentionally. Just don't face a leadoff hitter anymore.
Pitch to the second guy first.
Mark Wiley is pitching coach. Ogea brings it on 2-2. That's the opposite way down the line. Anderson digging for 2. He's homered. He's doubled. 2 for 2.
Hitting instructor for the Orioles, Rick Down, has got to love that hitting by Brady Anderson. A mark of a professional hitter who can pull a ball down the right field line and the next time up have the wherewithal to hit it down the left field line. Now I've become overwhelmed with that home run ball. Fine hitting by Brady Anderson with 2 strikes, protecting away, hitting away.
Roberto grounded to short his first time, and he takes a ball. A 1-out double by Brady Anderson. Alomar and Baroa will have their chances to drive him in. Orioles leading by 1 here in inning number 3.
You may think that Ogea's pitching around Alomar when you see career numbers like that, but when you look at what Geronimo Baroa has done against Ogea this year, you know he's not pitching around him to get to Baroa. Baroa hit .556 against Chad Ogea this year.
Borderline pitch for a strike, 2-1.
Although it would set up the double play, Baroa grounded into 18 of those this year.
Yeah, but you've got Palmeiro would be on deck if they walk Alomar. You have Baroa up there. I'd take my chances with Alomar.
Three and one. Baltimore.
O.J. tried not to give him a good pitch to hit. He gives him the same pitch that Brady Anderson hit out of the ballpark. About a belt-high breaking ball, and Alomar hits it about the same place Anderson hit his.
Now Baroa off the end of the bat into center field for Grissom. And that's the second out of the inning here in the third after the home run by Alomar. Right now for a Miller-Lite game break, we go to me. In the first inning, Alex Fernandez of NLCS game number 2 serves up that high delivery to Ryan Klesko. That home run made it 1-0. There's the final. The Braves win it 7-1, and they even that best-of-7 series at 1 game apiece.
Nice throw.
Thank you. You forgot to throw it back to yourself, though.
2 out, nobody on for Palmeiro. He skies one foul into right.
Well, Tim, when you see left-handed hitters stay back and not be fooled whatsoever by 2 breaking balls for home runs early in the game, you have to wonder if perhaps the Orioles have picked something up in O.J.'s delivery. Maybe he's tipping something before he delivers the ball, or they're just guessing breaking ball, because Alomar and Brady Anderson were both not fooled in the least by those breaking balls.
As he said, about in the same place, and they were hit about the same place.
Strike on Palmeiro.
That's what Paul O'Neill hit out the other night for the Grand Slam, a straight change. This one, a cut fastball running in on Rafael Palmeiro. Rafi skating out of the way.
To the right side, but right at Tomey, and the inning is over, but not before more damage by the Orioles. Another one to right, this time off the bat of Alomar. We have played 3 innings here in Game 1 of the American League Championship Series. Indians and Orioles, and the Indians have to get to work. They have the heart of their lineup. Ramirez, Tomey, and Justice coming up, and here's the hit zone for Manny Ramirez.
Well, that sinker that starts over the heart of the plate and tails down and in is going to be a very dangerous pitch to Manny Ramirez. That hot zone, as you can see, the hot zone down over the center of the plate, down and in. That's where that sinker will end up if Erickson throws it over the middle of the plate.
Ramirez 0 for 1 as he takes a strike.
You can see the movement there. Lenny Webster sitting outside and the ball moving back over the heart of the plate. Trying to come in this time to Ramirez.
And they do over the inside corner for strike 2.
That could set up a myriad of things when you come inside to a hitter. That inside fastball, boy, that was nasty. That opens up the outside part of the plate.
Wasting a pitch, 1 and 2, as they're setting up Ramirez with Tomey and Justice to follow. Erickson working with Lenny Webster as catcher. Down and into the ground ball to Ripken. 1
You can see the pattern that Erickson wants to work with Ramirez, the batter. Webster is sitting outside. Good movement on a fastball. Inside fastball. He misses away. Back inside. Hit pretty well, but Ripken takes care of Ramirez.
Can't overstress the importance of that infield defense when you have a sinker ball pitcher on the mound. Sinker ball pitchers on occasion are going to get whacked around when those ground balls find holes in the infield. If that ball was hit a few feet to the left, a few feet to the right, perhaps it gets through. But fortunately for Erickson, it was hit right at his third baseman. But on occasion, sinker ball pitchers will give up a lot of ground ball base hits.
Strike 1 on Tomey.
Breaking ball down and in to Jim Tomey. Fouled off the instep. That's why he wears that half shin guard there. But what you just said, Bob, mindful of what Moises Alou did to Greg Maddux last night in the first inning, driving in 3 runs. Florida winning that game, losing today 7-1.
Over the outside corner to Tomey, strike 2.
See, that's the most effective way to get guys out, using both sides of the plate. The slider inside was fouled off, and now the sinker on the outside corner. Use all 17 inches of the plate.
Erickson is dialed in here early, hitting seemingly every spot he wants to.
This sequence is almost like the old Army backs. Inside, outside. The first pitch outside, hammered off the instep, outside corner, inside corner, out, in. Tomey's down. Good pitching by Erickson.
It's a hitter in that rocking chair. You lean out over the plate for the pitch away, and then he busts you inside, pushes you back off the plate, and then back away again. Batter looks like he's sitting in a rocking chair.
Now David Justice with 2 out, nobody on. He has one of the 2 Cleveland hits as he takes the ball. Justice now 6 out of 20 in this postseason. The outside corner, 1-1.
Thrown many fastballs over the middle of the plate. Really using that inside and outside lane.
That's off the front foot of Justice, 2-2.
A lot of barking dogs in that Cleveland dugout. Tomey fouled one off his foot. Now Dave Justice fouls one off the right foot. Below that ankle guard. Doesn't really help when you foul it off that big toe.
Erickson now 2-2 on David Justice. 2 out, nobody on in the 4th inning. And another foul tip.
I think he got it off the right foot again.
2 in a row.
Hanging breaking ball. Well, that time he got the back foot. They can't even limp.
Can hop.
2 out, nobody on. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Justice. Now he has to run. Alomar takes care of it. And the Indians go 1, 2, 3 in the 4th. Erickson rolling. Orioles come to bat up by 3. Chad Ogea back to work. It'll be B.J. Surhoff, Cal Ripken Jr., and Harold Baines, DH. Here in the 4th inning for the Orioles, up by 3, and they've done it with the long ball. Leadoff home run by Anderson in the 1st. 2-run shot by Roberto Alomar in the 3rd. Surhoff popped to short his first time up, and he pops up again behind the plate. Backing out of play, 1-1.
You know, the Cleveland Indians have not hit one foul ball like Surhoff just hit that foul ball back into the stands. That's another indication of Scott Erickson getting the ball on the ground.
Yeah, really, the only ball that has been hit in the air against Erickson tonight, or the balls that have been hit in the air, have been breaking balls. A couple of them that he left up in the zone, but the Indians hitters weren't able to drive him. They got underneath and lifted him into the air.
2 balls and a strike on Surhoff, now 3-1.
A lot of times you can tell an action on a fastball from a pitcher by the types of foul balls that are hit against him. The ball up usually is an indication of a high ball pitcher. You notice the last half inning, 3 balls were hit off the feet of the Indian batters. 1 off Tomey, 2 off Justice. Means the ball's going down well for Erickson.
3-1 to Surhoff over the inside corner, full count, good pitch. Chad Ogea. Ripken next. Ripken now, after a leadoff walk, the first walk issued by Ogea. Well, we talked about the double hit by Anderson. When he hit in the third, here's first base coach John Stearns talking to him about it.
That's an excellent piece of hitting right there. Turn your change up, you're ahead in the count. On the ladies, I'm going to tell you. One on the opposite side. Like Manny. I'm just going to prepare to go that way because my angles are a lot better. Your angles are better the more straight up you can play. You know what I mean? Okay. All right, I don't mind you just make sure you can position yourself to get to that right center field gap. I got that ball pretty easy.
Here's Ripken, 1 on, nobody out.
John Stearns talking to Brady Anderson about two things. The first was the good piece of hitting with 2 strikes on the double down the line. And the second was about his defense, positioning himself to get to the right center field gap.
Now 2-0 on Ripken, and Ogea is getting into a bad rhythm. He fell behind Surhoff. He walked him. He's behind Ripken 2-0, and with that, out comes the pitching coach, Mark Wiley.
You know, that comment that John Stearns left Brady Anderson with leads one to believe that you won't see Brady Anderson shifting into left center field all night. He's a left-handed thrower, and it's probably easier for him to go to his right to make plays because his glove's on the right hand, and I think that's what John Stearns was reminding him. Make sure you're conscious of right center first. Left center will take care of itself.
And another factor may be the fact that Barreau is playing right field, a very shaky defensive outfielder, and they perhaps want to give him a little more protection in right field as opposed to B.J. Surhoff, very solid in left field.
Surhoff now at first with nobody out for Ripken. 0 for 1 tonight. The count 2-0. And after the visit, a strike. 2-1. Harold Baines will follow Ripken. Anybody after that? Lenny Webster. Center field. Back is Grissom. At the wall. Can't make the catch. Surhoff digs for third. They will hold him there on a double by Ripken.
Boy, Grissom gave it a great effort out there in left center field. Did not break stride, did not slow down, even though he knew he was approaching that wall in left center. Ripken gets the ball out over the plate and really buggy whips it into left center field. You look at the end of the play, it looked like Grissom missed the ball before crashing into the wall. Perhaps took his eye off of it at the last second. Maybe we'll be able to see. He knew he was getting close to that wall. He had his glove in a pretty good position to catch the ball, but just wasn't able to come up with it.
I'm surprised that the Indians' infield is back with the Indians trailing by 3 runs. I don't think they can afford this.
Second and third, nobody out, and Baines fouls one down the left field line, out of play for strike 1. We give you sounds of the game here on Fox Sports, and, well, you want to hear Marquise Grissom slamming into a wall, you'll get your chance.
Sounded worse than it was. That wall is padded with about 9 inches of foam rubber, so Marquise is all right.
You don't try to make that play at Wrigley Field.
Second and third, nobody out. Infield still back, and Baines, strike 2. Chad Ogea is going to have to come up with some good pitching here in the 4th inning to get around this, as Brian Anderson, who was added to the Cleveland roster for this round of the playoffs, gets ready out in the Indians bullpen. 0-2 to Baines. And a pop-up behind second base. That won't do anything. Vizquel gives way to Grissom. who makes the play, 1 out, and a big out for the Indians.
I have never seen that. Omar Vizquel gave the decoy like he was going to catch the ball, and Grissom caught the ball. Grissom is the guy that should handle it because he's coming in. Watch Omar Vizquel. He looks like he's going to catch it and field it. Grissom fields it to make the throw in. I've never seen that before.
This is probably an attempt to decoy the runner at third into leaving too soon.
That's
thinking that Vizquel caught the ball. Of course, B.J. Surhoff not likely to tag and score on a shallow fly ball, but what quick thinking by Vizquel.
Omar also was playing back at shortstop, and Sandy Alomar coming out to move him in. I think the infield should have been in the last time against Baines, and now it's in against Webster.
Lenny Webster, second and third, 1 out. Orioles leading by 3. That's strike 1. Surhoff led off with a walk, and then Ripken doubled off the wall in left center field. Baines popped to shallow center, and Hargrove hoping for a big effort here from young 26-year-old Chad Ogea. Trying to keep the Indians in this game. 1-1. Webster 0 for 1 tonight against Ogea. A high strike, but now it's 1-2.
I think even with the infield in, the Orioles with a 3-0 lead, on a ground ball in the infield, you send the runner from third. On the theory that the worst thing that can happen, runners end up at first and third and 2 outs. We'll see what Davey Johnson's going to do, but this is the time to send the runner, even though the infield's in.
Ogea needs his first strikeout. He has Webster 1-2. Now 2-2.
As an opposing manager, what you hope for in this situation is a foul ball by the batter, and watch the reaction of the runner at third base. If B.J. Surhoff is moving towards home plate as the ball is fouled, that tells you he's going to go on contact. If he's reacting back to the bag, that tells you he's going to make the ball go through.
2-2 from Ogea. To the third baseman, Williams. The play at the plate. They got him for the second out of the inning. Surhoff is gone, and it's first and third, 2 out. And Chad Ogea is pitching his way right out of trouble here in the fourth.
Now you called it, Tim. They're sending the runner on contact. As soon as this ball's put into play, watch Surhoff. As soon as that ball is hit, he is running. He knows that ball is hit right to Matt Williams. You're just hoping for an errant throw or a bobble by the infielder before he makes the play at the plate.
Watch Surhoff move to the inside part of the line also. Matt Williams, a right-handed thrower, throwing to the outside, realizing that he has a lot of time. But that's good baseball right there. You take a chance when you're 3 runs ahead. If the ball's thrown away, bobbled a little bit, you score another run. As it is, it's first and third and 2 outs, but you've taken a chance on scoring another run.
Now 40. A breaking ball for a strike. You played with Matt Williams for years. There's nobody the Indians could pick that they'd rather have handle a play like that than Matt Williams.
Very sure-handed, very accurate with his throws. Always gets himself in a good position. You mentioned the runner coming on the inside of the baseline. Matt Williams makes sure he could clear that runner with the throw to the plate.
First and third, 2 out. Strike 2.
This would be huge psychologically if Ogea can pitch out of this with the Orioles not scoring any runs.
A walk and a double started this inning. Second and third, nobody out. Baines popped up. Webster bounced into the 5-2 fielder's choice. And now the 0-2 to Porting. 1-2. Porting drove in only 46 runs during the regular season. Did knock home 4 in the division series with the Mariners. Chad Ogea. Second and third, nobody out. And the 26-year-old keeps his team in the game. After 4, still 3-0 Baltimore. Welcome back to Camden Yards, top of the 5th inning. If the Indians needed a lift, they just got a big pick-me-up from Chad Ogea.
Breaking ball hangs up over the inside corner, but he gets the call. Another breaking ball fouled off, stands him up with a high fastball, and then paints the outside corner. You can see Ogea pumping his fist there, trying to keep his team in the ball game.
And he did just that. 3-0 Orioles after 4, and here's Matt Williams leading it off and taking ball 1. Williams fouled out his first time. Alomar and Giles will follow. Tim, we said this during the regular season, and I know Bob agrees. I still don't think the Indians fans have seen how good Matt Williams can be. I know he had a good first year in the American League, but we've seen better from him.
Well, he's capable of being more consistent. We know that. I think a lot of that had to do with the adjustments to the pitchers. He had some problems in his personal life this year, and certainly came on strong at the end of the season when they really needed him. But I think it's a good pickup for the Indians, and it was a good trade for the San Francisco Giants as well. They got what they needed.
John Hart, you saw, the general manager of the Cleveland Indians. Strike 2 on Williams.
Notice those last 2 sliders were low and away to Matt Williams. That is an area that almost all hitters are vulnerable to. You move that ball to Matt or toward that down and in or down and over the plate area, it's a different story. No right-hander's going to hit those last 2 sliders.
The 1-2 to Williams. The third baseman, Rifkin. On a couple of hops, makes the play, and the leadoff man is gone. Don't forget, tomorrow it's Game 2 of the American League Championship Series, and we'll be right back here. Charles Nagy takes the mound and leads the Indians against Jimmy Key, and the Orioles. Coverage begins live at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, right here on Fox.
Well, Scott Erickson right on schedule with what he did during the regular season. Almost 3 ground ball outs for every fly ball out. That was the 8th ground out in the ball game tonight as opposed to 3 fly balls. So he's right about where he's supposed to be.
A couple of strikeouts mixed in. And he's allowed no runs and only 2 Indian hits. Strike 2 on a nasty pitch low and away to Alomar.
Nothing in the middle of the plate. Nothing.
Now the 0-2 from Erickson. Wouldn't chase.
There's a fastball right on that outside corner, and then comes back with a slider in the same lane. Hoping to get Alomar to chase, thinking he was coming back with another fastball on the outside corner, but bounced it in the dirt. Not a bad pitch when you're ahead. Get a guy to chase.
Just laid off. Almost chased it 2-2.
Looks like Sandy held up in time on this wicked slider. May see another one.
Full count.
That's what you call a zoom ball right there. That appeared to be a 4-seam fastball. Normally Erickson throws that 2-seamer and sinks it. Watch this ball take off. No sink on that pitch. 94 miles an hour. Just took off on Lenny Webster.
Base is empty, 1 away. Alomar is jammed on a pitch inside. Rifkin takes care of another. 2 outs here in the top of the 5th inning.
Sometimes when you start a hitter off with 1 pitch, you get him out with another. Watch Erickson. Breaking ball, fastball, then the slider is low. Another slider he lays off. The fastball, the zoom ball is caught. And then the backup slider.
More hitters will get jammed with that backup slider than any other pitch.
Toughest pitch to hit in baseball. Pitchers don't throw it deliberately.
It's an accidental pitch. You see the rotation on the ball. It's supposed to break down and away like every other slider you've ever seen, and it just never seems to bite. The ball continues to hold path all the way to home plate, and the hitter jams himself.
Kind of like that Zoom ball. Huh?
Ball and a strike now on Brian Giles, who grounded out to short his first time up.
Well, the first time I ever heard it referred to that was by Mike Flanagan, former great pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles, now broadcasting games for him. Called for a sinker one time when I was catching for the Toronto Blue Jays, and the same thing happened to me that happened to Lenny Webster, and I ran out. I said, what in the world was that? He said, that was a Zoom ball. I'm sorry.
Flanagan, one of 2 Cy Youngs Ray Miller has had a chance to work with here in Baltimore. The 1-2 to Giles, inning over. Erickson continues to mow right through Cleveland. He struck out 3 halfway through it. The Thunder coming up for the Orioles in the 5th.
1997 American League Championship Series on Fox is brought to you by Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. By Burger King, where you get your burger's worth. And by IBM, solutions for a small planet.
Fans here put a shirt on the most dominant pitcher in the teens in this league. Babe Ruth. Brady Anderson fouls away the first pitch for strike 1. They put a shirt, T-shirt, the statue of the Babe.
Here's an interesting thought. If the DH had been in vogue in the teens, maybe, just maybe, nobody would have found out how good a hitter Babe Ruth was.
0-1 pitch to Brady Anderson. Strike 2. There have been a couple that have made that switch. Babe Ruth, a left-handed thrower. They have a right-handed glove on the statue of Babe Ruth.
I think that's 5 hot dogs right there. That's not a glove.
That is a big, longed glove.
I think that was Tony Lazzari's glove.
0-2 pitch. Anderson strikes out over the inside corner. And for the first time tonight, Ogea takes care of Brady Anderson. Providing our shots from above is the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes. The Blimp tours throughout the U.S. and Canada on an average of 5 months of the year. Started to say there have been a couple of guys who have changed from that position of pitcher to turn out to be pretty good hitters. Mr. Musial wasn't bad either.
Stanley Frank, number 6, could hit a little bit.
As Roberto Alomar takes a strike over the inside corner. 2-run shot his last time up. Make it a 3-0 Oriole lead, and they still enjoy that lead behind Scott Erickson. 1-1 now on Roberto. And the 2 brothers right next to one another. Roberto at the plate for Baltimore, and Sandy behind the plate for the Indians. And as good as this season has been for Roberto Alomar, it's been frustrating with the injuries, time missed. It has been a season that Sandy Alomar will never forget. A breakthrough year for the veteran Indian catcher. 2-2 now on Roberto.
Well, we're not sure if they're Baltimore fans. Oh, there we go. Robbie, that is.
Right on cue. Two balls, 2 strikes. Full count.
We saw Alomar hit a home run in his last at bat on a breaking ball. And the book on him is to go after him with fastballs inside off the plate. And if you're going to change speeds, do it with change-ups, or if you happen to have a split finger. It's a very good pitch to go after Roberto Alomar. He seems to react very well to breaking balls and fastballs out over the plate. Has a little more problems with the straighter off-speed pitches. High ball hitter from both sides of the plate, although he's going to be hitting strictly from the left side throughout this series. Good opposite field power, vulnerable to that inside fastball and the straighter off-speed pitches.
Draws a 1-out walk here in the 5th inning. second walk handed out by Ogea here tonight. We remind you once again to tune into Game 4 of the American League Championship Series. That will take place in Cleveland for the $1 million Gillette Strike Zone Challenge, where one fan will have the opportunity to throw a strike for $1 million. 1 on, 1 out here in the 5th inning for Geronimo Baroa. 0 for 2 tonight. 3-0 Orioles in the 5th. Ow. I don't know why I said ow, but Baroa has that little shin guard on that front leg, but this was drilled.
Appeared to just catch the edge of the shin guard and a whole bunch of that instep.
Everybody familiar with the dog pound in the end zone of the mistake by the lake, the old stadium in Cleveland. This is like a dog pound tonight. That is the third batter that has hammered one off his foot. Tomey, Justice, and now Baroa.
1 on, 1 out, 0-1 the count. Keeping it inside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Tomorrow would be a good day to be a podiatrist in downtown Baltimore. You're probably going to get to visit a lot of major league ball players.
You guys have had some baseball pedicures tonight, right?
Anderson struck out. Alomar walked. 1 ball, 1 strike on Baroa.
By the way, if you move a franchise in the NFL, did the Baltimore Ravens take the dog pound with them, DAWG?
No, I think they were contractually obligated to leave it here. Balls to strike.
Career versus Ogea, and that is a career. 5 for 9, 3 doubles, a home run. Baroa's become a much more patient hitter this year. He did walk 76 times throughout the course of the regular season, but with runners in scoring position, you can throw him the rosin bag and he'll swing at it. We talked about Erickson holding runners close at first base. Robbie Alomar has not run nearly as much this year as he has in the past. Only 9 stolen bases in 12 attempts because of the injuries. And you can see Ogea using the high leg kick, a very slow, deliberate delivery to home plate.
Will they start Alomar on 2-1? Not going, and 2-2.
David Johnson said that Roberto Alomar and Brady Anderson were about 90%. There's that high leg kick. I think a guy like Ogea can afford that high leg kick against a team that doesn't run a lot like the Orioles.
David Johnson and the Orioles came into this season thinking they were going to run a lot more than the team they had here last year. See the numbers for Alomar, but obviously getting a little older and battling those injuries this season. One of the reasons why he's a little more station to station. David Johnson and his club actually stealing a third fewer bases than they did a year ago. And the Orioles set big league mark of 257 home runs hit. A record broken this season by the Seattle Mariners. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Baroa's gone. 2 strikeouts in the inning, 3 on the night for Ogea.
That looked like a straight change on the outside corner. You could see the fingers coming up of Chad Ogea. Sometimes a hitter can pick that up. Look at the fingers. Change up gets Baroa. Sometimes the ball is tucked back so far in the palm that the fingers fly up and a hitter can pick that up. As a matter of fact, Paul O'Neill telling us that that's what he picked up the other night when he hit the changeup out on Ogea, the grand slam home run.
Now 1 on, 2 out for Palmeiro. He takes a strike. There are the brothers, Roberto on your left, Sandy on your right. There's the situation, 1 on, 2 out in this inning. And Palmeiro at the plate, 1-1.
He'll be less likely to run in this situation with Palmeiro up there. As much as they can, the Orioles want men on base with Palmeiro hitting.
Corner now. Ogea has a chance to strike out the side here in the 5th. And time called when you see Ogea make the start here tonight, trying to get 5 strong innings out of him, and then eventually hand it over to that bullpen. The pitching rotation, Bob, really for the Indians, and had the Yankees one really out of whack because of that long divisional series.
I'll tell you, Sandy Alomar may have picked up something that Ogea did. If a pitcher shakes his head twice, it's going to be a fastball, because you don't shake for location. If you shake, yes, I want the pitch, and then, yes, I want it there, it's got to be a fastball. The rare exception is going to be the backdoor breaking ball. I think that's what Alomar picked up, and he said, wait a minute, we got to do this again.
Yeah, Ogea did that once earlier this inning with Brady Anderson at the plate.
1 on, 2 out, a ball and 2 strikes. The third baseman, Williams. Roberts late in covering second, so Williams goes across the diamond. Ogea gets around a 1-out walk, and after 5, 3-0 Orioles. Scott Erickson has been tough tonight. He goes back to work in the 6th inning with the Indians coming to the plate. Down by 3. It will be Grissom, Roberts, and Vizquel. You're making that point, Bob, about the pitching rotation. Because of that extended 5-game series with the New York Yankees, whoever moved on to this LCS against the Orioles, we're going to have to patch together that starting rotation, at least for the early games of this matchup with the Orioles.
Well, the Yankees had a lot of questions with their starting rotation throughout the division series, and that would have continued through the ALCS, and Cleveland very much the same. Had it not been for that young man right there, Cleveland really would have been in trouble. Jarrett Wright stepping up in a big way.
Orel Hershiser in Game 4, giving the Indians a chance to win that game, and then eventually Game 5. Jarrett Wright winning 2 of the 3 games the Indians won in that series with New York. 0-2 on Grissom, and a ground ball through the hole into left field. A leadoff hit for the Indians in the 6th. And for the first time tonight, Cleveland has their leadoff man on base. Time now for a Miller Lite game break, and we give you another highlight from Game 2 of the NLCS. Chipper Jones. Boy, that sounded good off his bat. The 3rd inning, a 2-run home run off Alex Fernandez, and Fernandez would last only 2 2/3 innings. Made it 5-0 Atlanta. They went on to a 7-1 victory, and the Braves and Marlins now tied at a game apiece as that series shifts to Miami. Here's Bip Roberts, 1 on, nobody out.
And once again, Erickson with the step off, the quick step off, and a look over his shoulder at the runner at first. Wanted to make sure Marquise Grissom is not getting a walking lead over there, trying to take advantage.
Ball 1 from Erickson.
Webster with a look over at the bench, getting a sign from the bench whether to throw to first. That's the sign, I believe, for the pickoff to first base. The split fingers, the pinky and the index finger coming down, letting Scott Erickson know that they want a pickoff attempt at first base.
Now, the one thing you don't want to do right now is concern yourself too much with Marquise Grissom. You have to realize you have a 3-run lead. That's if you're Scott Erickson. It is the guy with the bat in his hand that you're most concerned with. Concern yourself somewhat with Grissom. First time in this ball game, the Indians have had their leadoff runner on base.
Caught by Erickson, and a double play.
I know it's a reaction, but that is not a good play by Marquise Grissom. If the ball is in there, he's not going to go but to second base anyway. You're not going to take a chance when you're 3 runs down. I know it's a reaction, but you can't get doubled off when you're 3 runs down in this situation. Not to the left side. You can understand it. Line drive to the first baseman. The reaction is going to carry you too far off the base. Sometimes a line drive to the second baseman, but not to the left side of the infield.
2 out, nobody on now as Vizquel pops one into left field for B.J. Surhoff. Looked like it might be a promising inning for the Indians. A leadoff hit by Grissom, but the line drive double play ball off the bat of Roberts. 5.5 innings, 3-0 Orioles. Welcome back to Camden Yards. Bottom of the 6th inning, the Orioles leading 3-0. Chad Ogea has done a wonderful job keeping his team in the game, but the Indians have yet to break through against Scott Erickson. B.J. Surhoff leads it off. Ripken and Baines will follow. Strike 1 on B.J. Surhoff walked last time up. That was followed by a double by Ripken. Second and third, nobody out. That guy got around it. A pop-up, a fielder's choice, and a strikeout. Strike 2 on Surhoff.
Ogea takes a little bit off the breaking ball right here. Throws it for the outside corner, breaks it over the heart of the plate. B.J. Surhoff in a hole 0-2.
Off the end of the bat, shallow center. Grissom coming on, can't get there. It's a leadoff hit for B.J. Surhoff.
In a more conventional ballpark, Marquise Grissom catches that ball because he's more shallow. But here at Camden Yards, Oriole Park at Camden Yards, the ball shoots out so fast and carries so well that you have to respect most of the Orioles hitters by playing deep enough to get the ball near the fence. But normally he catches that ball.
Oh, in his days in the National League, Marquise Grissom played the shallowest center field of anybody in the league. So you can see where he's positioned now, playing very deep here at Camden Yards.
Now Ripken looks at the ball.
No, you've got to.
Hitting .444 in this postseason. Proving that he knew what was best for the streak and his body late in the season. Tuned it up, and he's having a wonderful postseason. Nice block by Sandy Alomar, ball 2.
Cal Ripken likes to hit the pitch out over the plate to right field, although we saw him hook one back to left center in his last at bat. He can be jammed up. Very good low ball hitter down and in. And that last point, his bat may have actually quickened. I think perhaps that may be when he's cheating. When he's looking for a certain pitch in a certain location, he can get that bat going a little bit earlier and get to those inside pitches.
2-0. 3-0 to Ripken.
As a frame of reference, remember Manny Ramirez, his last at bat, he grounded out to Matt Williams, and Erickson was trying to pitch him inside. Guys who are low ball hitters can be jammed frequently, and the reason is if you're a low ball hitter, you have a slower bat than a high ball hitter, and that's why you can get inside on a guy like Ripken, Ramirez, and other low ball hitters.
strike, and it's 3-1.
Remember, a hot zone for Cal Ripken, down and in, but not down or not up and in or on the hand. So he's vulnerable when the pitches are up, but when the ball is down and in, he just drops the bat head on it. That's his power pitch.
That's that point we made on the scouting report. He can be jammed up and in.
3 balls and a strike. Surhoff is running, and Ripken fouls it.
Just like that pitch right there. Even in a fastball situation, 3-1, Ripken looking for it. The ball's in on the hands, and he gets jammed. Watch. So that was down a little farther than Ogea wanted it, but still, you get the point.
Surhoff was running on 3-1. Will he run on 3-2?
Yes. Bet your abode on it.
Well, Ripken's grounded into 19 double plays throughout the 97 season.
You run 3-1, you run 3-2.
Going, and Ripken jammed again. Is it playable for Alomar? No, and the count stays 3-2.
Looked like a backup breaking ball.
I think that's exactly what it was. He tried to throw a slider, get the knee buckler, throw it right at the hitter, break it across the plate. B.J. Surhoff watching the action and hustling back to first base. He wasn't sure if that ball was going to stay in play for Sandy Alomar or not. Not taking any chances.
Ogea working Ripken inside. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Surhoff on the move, up and in, ball 4, 2 on, nobody out. Third walk handed out by Chad Ogea. As Harold Baines walks in, we'll give you our Aflac trivia question. How many brothers have played against each other in postseason history? I asked that. A series like this with Sandy Alomar on the Indians and Roberto on the Baltimore Orioles. Plunk and Mormon getting ready out in the Cleveland bullpen. 2 on, nobody out, and it's Baines at the plate. Double play, ball to second. Roberts flips on to first for 6-3. Beautifully turned by Vizquel, the shortstop.
The ball did not appear to touch the glove of Omar Vizquel. That's how quickly he got rid of it. Watch this. See him making Ripken get down. You may remember the Chad Curtis stand-up slides against the Yankees. Vizquel never really had a chance to make a throw like that against Curtis. Boy, he got rid of that ball in a hurry.
And Vizquel trying to come back to the inside of the baseline. He saw Cal Ripken sliding to the outside. He tried to come back to the inside, and only the right arm that Cal stuck up there at the last second was able to clip Vizquel.
Now it's Surhoff at third with 2 out, and Lenny Webster at the plate. Strike 1, so Chad Ogea trying to do it again. First 2 reached in the 4th inning. He got around it. First 2 have reached here in the 6th inning. And he's 1 out away from getting out of trouble again.
Ogea just went past the 100 pitch mark. That was his 101st pitch in the ball game.
1-1. Up over 100 is Ogea as he works to Lenny Webster on 1-1. Into left field, crushed at the track, at the wall, and caught by Brian Giles. Anderson took 1 away in the 1st. Giles takes 1 away in the 6th. Back for the 7th after this from your local Fox station.
Well, Brian Giles is listed at 5'11" in the Cleveland Indians media guide, and he needs every bit of it to climb the wall in left field and catch the drive off the bat of Lenny Webster and battle that guy in the orange shirt to make the catch. You get a look from behind, and you can see the guy in the orange shirt was positioned to make the play, and Giles snatched it right away from him.
I guess you have to say it, that guy looks suspiciously like Jeffrey Mayer's older brother.
Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. Manny Ramirez, Jim Thome, David Justice for the Indians. They are hanging in there, down by only 3. Eric Davis takes over in right, as we expected, defensively for Geronimo Baroa. Ramirez hitless tonight, and that average sinking as he goes along here in the postseason. Way late, strike 2.
Davey Johnson telling us before the game that he did not want to start Eric Davis 2 games in a row, that he probably would use him late defense if the Orioles had a late lead, which they do. He will start tomorrow night. He has chemotherapy on Friday and will probably start against Oral Hershiser on Saturday. What a courageous year he has had.
1-2. You talked about it during one of the regular season games that we did. Eric Davis, who won the Comeback Player of the Year award for the Cincinnati Reds in the National League. You could make a very strong case he could win it here in the American League for his comeback within this season.
Right.
Not compared to last year. A ball and 2 strikes on Ramirez. And he stays alive.
That gives you some kind of idea that the movement and velocity Erickson still has on that sinker. This is a hot zone for Manny Ramirez. Hey, remember earlier, he likes that ball down and in, still not able to catch up with that sinker. And when you can go with a hitter's hot zone and still get the ball by him, that tells you you've really got something on the pitch.
Ball and 2 strikes on Ramirez. 2-2.
We'll get a look at Manny Ramirez hot zone once again. That down and in dark red area was the pitch that he just fouled off from Scott Erickson. Then Erickson went to the blue area up and away trying to get into chase.
2-2. Waited on it, ripped it right at Surhoff. 1 away.
BJ really surrounds this ball. He may have had a tough time with the ball and the light. Ball hit very hard. Watch Surhoff. Looks like he was very unsure as to where that ball was going to light. Could have lost it in the light.
It almost looks like his old days as a catcher, going down on a knee to block the ball out there in left field.
Glad he didn't have to.
Ramirez can only smile after finally hitting a ball hard tonight, but right at B.J. Surhoff and left. Here's Thome, who was hitless in this ballpark during the regular season, 0 for 16. He's 0 for 2 tonight. 2-0 from Erickson. There's Brian Anderson, the young left-hander, getting ready for the Indians in their bullpen. Brady Anderson due up second in the bottom of the 7th inning. Out of play for strike 1.
Brian Anderson was just recently added to the roster. He was not eligible during the division series. Enrique Wilson was dropped from the roster.
Mike Hargrove said he would probably use him early in the game. We've gone by that point now, but he was going to use Anderson early in the game because Davey Johnson likes to turn his lineup around. Take the left-handers out, bring in the right-handed part of the platoons that Davey has. Figured that Hargrove would bring Anderson in early in the ball game if necessary, turn that Baltimore lineup around, and then use the matchups with the rest of his bullpen. They're trailing 3-0 right now. Brian Anderson just warming up in the event that anything gets going.
3 balls and a strike. Thome into shallow left. Surhoff is taking care of the first 2 in the 7th. We gave you our Aflac trivia question. How many brothers have played against each other in postseason history? Here's the question, and our Aflac Trivia answer is 5. 5 brother combinations have played against each other in the postseason. That includes Roberto and Sandy Alomar.
Oh, that's amazing. I didn't realize it would be that many.
You got the Boyers. You have the Orge brothers, Garth and Dane Orge, back in 1985. Those are the most recent additions to that list. David Justice at the plate, 2 out, nobody on, and now 1-1.
Clayton and Kenny Boyer playing against one another in the 1964 World Series, and in Game 4, Kenny Boyer hit a grand slam home run off Al Downing. I was on that team. The Cardinals won that game 4-3, and as Kenny was rounding third base, Cleat stood in the baseline and made him go around him.
Justice ripped one foul down the right field line.
The return from Kenny Boyer was to whack him on the rear end, touch third, and score, of course. Grand slam home run after the Yankees had scored 3 in the first inning, but their sibling rivalry certainly showing up in that series.
Crowd wants the top of the 7th inning to end right here. They're dying to stretch. They'll have to wait for at least another pitch. 2-2. Two out, nobody on for the Indians in the 7th. To the left side for Bordick. How about Scott Erickson? No runs, only 3 hits for the Indians tonight. Time to stretch. 3-0 Baltimore. We move into the bottom of the 7th inning. New pitcher on the hill for the Cleveland Indians. But as we talked about Kenny Boyer, the captain, the grand slam, Yankees were leading the Cardinals 2-1. Made it 4-3 in the 6th inning. Cardinals came back from that 3-0 deficit, won the series 4-3, and I believe a guy named McCarver hit a 10th inning 3-run game-winning home run in Game 5.
That was a game Bob Gibson had started, and I think Gibson in that game made one of the most brilliant athletic plays I have ever seen off the bat of Joe Pepitone. It was such an important play because Tom Tresh hit a 2-run homer to send it to the 10th inning.
Mike Bordick will lead off for the Orioles in the 7th inning. And then Brady Anderson, then Roberto Alomar, who is only batting left-handed. That's why Mike Hargrove goes to the lefty Anderson. Chad Ogea did a terrific job. He did all he could, and he gave his team a chance to stay in this game. 6 innings, 3 runs on 6 hits. All 3 runs scoring on the 2 home runs allowed early. Bordick is 0 for 2 tonight. Struck out his last time up and set up here at 0-2.
Scott Erickson just has not given the Indians any breathing room whatsoever in this ball game tonight, Joe. We touched upon it and laughed about it in the open. You can't steal first. He has not walked a batter, given up only the 3 base hits, and only one of those base hits was leading off an inning.
That man, Grissom, was doubled off first in the line drive hit by Pip Roberts. Ball and 2 strikes on Bordick. 2-2. Third baseman Williams dropped it, picked it up, throws wild, and Bordick is on to start the 7th.
The left side of the Cleveland infield only made 27 errors between them this year. Matt Williams fields it cleanly, and then in trying to take the ball out of the glove, he throws too quickly and errantly, and it's going to be an error on Matt Williams. It is rare that he commits one. Tough play, but a play he normally makes.
And a rare fundamental mistake by Matt Williams. You could see him kind of dropping the ball out of his glove into his meat hand rather than putting the throwing hand into the glove.
So Williams, who committed only 12 errors during the regular season, a three-time Gold Glove Award winner, makes the error to start the 7th inning, and Brady Anderson, who's 2 out of 3 with a homer and a double, a couple of runs scored, digs in. Into left field, well hit, but Giles is there. 1 on, 1 out. Well, Friday, it's time for contact on an all-new Visitor. Then witness the most frightening animal attacks ever caught on tape. When animals attack 4. An all-new special. It all starts Friday at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, here on Fox. Never forget promoting When Animals Attack 1 with a deer attacking a hunter. Now they're up to When Animals Attack 4.
Rather unusual story, huh? A deer attacking a hunter?
Yes.
Does not happen that often.
One on, 1 out for Alomar. And Anderson misses with ball 1. Anderson, his first inning of work, checks on Mike Bordick. On the error. Then Brady Anderson flying to left. Orioles out in front by 3 here in game 1, and that's strike 1 to Roberto Alomar.
Now, Bordick doesn't have much of a lead at first base. I'm sure he's going to just drop anchor over there and give Robbie Alomar a chance to shoot one through that hole, but Alomar doesn't appear to be very comfortable in there against Mr. Anderson.
Anderson off the mound, a flip to first for the 2nd out. And Alomar is retired for out number 2 here in the 7th, and Eric Davis will walk in. Baroa hitting in the 3rd spot, 0 for 3 while he was in there. Anderson and Alomar, the top 2, with all 3 runs driven in. Surhoff a hit, Ripken a hit, Baines a base hit. And as Eric Davis walks in, Mike Hargrove walks out. That Indian bullpen is quiet.
Mike Hargrove probably talking to Brian Anderson about where to pitch Eric Davis. Eric Davis, a notorious low ball hitter. I don't think you would walk him in this situation. You're not going to walk a right-hander like Davis's first at bat of the night to get to Palmeiro. No way there. Nor really are you going to pitch carefully to him. You go after him. That's the way I size it up with Palmeiro on deck.
And more than likely, they're going to go after him with good, hard fastballs up in the zone. Right. He has a tendency to chase up the ladder. Working the outside corner initially with a fastball. Eric Davis has become a very good breaking ball hitter later in his career.
That's because of how low he holds his hands. Notice how low he holds his hands. No way for him to get to a high fastball.
1-1.
It's almost with Eric, the better the breaking ball, the more down in the zone it is, the harder he hits it.
That's one of the reasons why the Orioles and Davey Johnson want him in the lineup on Saturday against Oral Hershiser. And now, after falling behind 2-1, they will walk Eric Davis and pitch to Rafael Palmeiro.
I am really surprised here, and the reason I'm surprised is Mike Hargrove before the game telling us that Brian Anderson was not particularly effective against left-handed hitters. I am really surprised at that move by Mike Hargrove. I thought he pitched to Davis all the way. Now, if you've got a guy like Paul Ossenmacher ready, then you'd bring him in to pitch to Palmeiro. But Paul is not ready, I don't believe. No move being made by Hargrove. There's Paul.
Back right now, Jeff Juden just started to throw for the Indians in their bullpen, and he just started. So it's Anderson to deal with Palmeiro, and then the lefty Surhoff to follow. 2 on, 2 out, and hit down the line and right. But foul. Just to back up your point, I mean, I don't think Rafael Palmeiro was fooled on that pitch or that swing.
I mean, here's a guy with 142 RBIs last year, an Oriole record. He had 110 this year, and just missed his having 3 in this game. I mean, just missed it.
Two on, 2 out. Before that first pitch to Palmeiro, John Stearns, the first base coach, had this to say to Eric Davis.
I got the first baseman behind you. Get an aggressive lead. I'll let you know if he's coming in on you.
That's standard procedure for a first base coach. When the first baseman is playing behind the runner, the coach will watch the first baseman. The runner himself is responsible for the pitcher and the catcher.
Nothing in 2, the count on Palmeiro. He was 0 for 3 tonight. 3 out of 15 in the postseason. 1 and 2.
Brian Anderson has a most unusual delivery in that he takes the hand out of the glove, the ball out of the glove stays forward. Usually a pitcher will bring the glove toward the left shoulder for a left-hander. He takes it out prematurely. A pitcher with that motion, you can understand shoulder problems. Watch him take the ball out of the glove and then try to keep the front shoulder in, but you can see the strain on that left shoulder. Normally, with that delivery, you do have shoulder problems. One of the side effects, unfortunately.
Trying to hang in this game, down by 3. The Orioles 2 on, 2 out, 1 and 2 on Palmeiro. Anderson got him with a changeup. First strikeout for Brian Anderson, and after 7 here in Baltimore, 3-0 Orioles. Welcome back to Baltimore. The Orioles lead 3-0 after 7. Again, our thanks for the many spectacular overhead shots to Captain Chambers, the crew of the Goodyear Blimp, Stars and Stripes, based out of Pompano Beach, Florida. They were with us in Cleveland. They are here in Baltimore. Beautiful night here in Maryland as Matt Williams leads it off with Alomar and Giles to follow. 8th inning. 3-0 for the Orioles, cruising behind Scott Erickson. Leadoff base hit. For the second time tonight, the Indians have their leadoff man on. It's Matt Williams.
Got a rare pitch up in the strike zone there from Scott Erickson. Working here into the 8th inning. About the time of the ball game for Davey Johnson to get that bullpen cranking down there just in case.
Their bullpen, one of the best in baseball this season. Alomar back to Erickson. 1-6-3.
We have seen some brilliant maneuvers by Omar Vizquel in the postseason so far. Watch his play by Bordick. Erickson, a good throw. And Bordick with some acrobatics of his own. Fine play by both Erickson and Bordick.
It looked like Alomar was calling off Bordick on this play. He had his hand up, and he was going to try to make the play himself, but Bordick had a good angle, came flying across the bag, made a great play.
Much easier play for the shortstop going toward first instead of the second baseman that has to make the pivot.
Now with the bases empty, 2 out. Giles, safe to say somebody in the middle infield forgot who was covering on the ball, hit back to the pitcher.
I think Bordick just took over. I think he took charge. Whether there was miscommunication or not, you don't know. But I think Bordick had the best angle. He took charge and made the play.
Now Giles a pop-up, shallow center. Bordick takes charge again. And Erickson gets through 8. Another leadoff hit, another double play followed. Still 3-0 Orioles.
The 1997 American League Championship Series on Fox is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Come by your local authorized dealer and fall in love. By Oral-B, the brand more dentists use themselves. By Red Lobster, prepared so fresh you can taste it. And by Starter, the authentic jacket for all 28 Major League Baseball teams.
We slip right into the bottom of the 8th inning here in Baltimore with the Orioles out in front by 3. And the story very easy here tonight to replay. It's been complete domination by Scott Erickson on the mound for the Orioles. And it's been just a couple of mistakes by Chad Ogea. A leadoff home run by Anderson, a 2-run shot by Alomar in the 3rd, and that's it.
Both high curveballs or high breaking balls, could have been sliders.
Surhoff 1 for 2 as he grounds to first. Another diving stop by Thome for the out. He made a heck of a play in the division series, Game 5. And he takes care of Surhoff to start the 8th inning.
Well, unlike a lot of first basemen who are there because they can't play anywhere else, Jim Thome was a third baseman. He moved to first base when the Indians acquired Matt Williams. He's very familiar with leaving his feet to make plays, and another fine play by Jim Thome.
It's hard to pin one play on a division series, but even Mike Hargrove telling us that was the play of the series. Had that play not been made in the 7th inning of Game 5, the Indians would not have won the series. Paul O'Neill, the batter, and watch the throw. Pointed out by Bob Brindley after that throw, and that was more important than the play itself.
Off balance, falling back into the middle of the infield. His body was turned towards first base. He made the throw to second base.
Here's Ripken. The shortstop, Vizquel, has time. Uses all of it. 2 out. We've been showing you highlights throughout this game. Time again for a Miller Lite game break. We talk about Tom Glavine cruising right along. Strikes out Gary Sheffield. Bobby Bonilla grounds back to Glavine. He went 7 2/3 innings. The strikeout of Conine. He allowed only 1 earned run, and it ended 7-1. The Atlanta Braves evening that series at a game apiece as it goes now down to Pro Player Stadium in Miami. Here's Harold Baines with 2 out, nobody on, and Brian Anderson giving the Indians some quality work out on the mound.
Hard to believe he's pitching this well. Prior to the night, he had not worked since September 24th.
That foul ball makes it 0-2. We remind you, you look at Randy Myers getting ready out in that Orioles bullpen. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Commissioner of Baseball. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Baines takes the ball 1-2. At the end of tonight's game, Tim, Bob, and I will select the Chevy Truck Player of the game. Right now, Scott Erickson is leading that race. 2-2 on Baines.
You know it's going to be pointed out sometime or other tomorrow in the newspapers or the call-in shows or what have you that the Indians were flat tonight. The emotion of the other series against the Yankees made them flat. Scott Erickson made him flat tonight.
Tomey takes care of Harold Baines, and the Orioles go in order. We move to the 9th inning. Last chance for Cleveland. Down by 3. Randy Myers walks in from out beyond the outfield wall. He will take over here in the 9th inning with the Orioles out in front of Game 1 of this 1997 ALCS, 3-0. Our game summary: Brady Anderson led off the game for Baltimore. First pitch and a home run. Roberto Alomar then cracked a 2-run shot in the 3rd inning. Chad Ogea got through 6 strong innings. But the story, Scott Erickson, 8 shutout innings. 4 times he went through the Indians in order. And he is finished after going 8. Before we tell you about Randy Myers and what he's done, we'll tell you about this week. It's a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. It all starts with America's most watched pregame show. Then catch an NFC Central battle as the Packers clash with the Bears, followed by the Rams and the 49ers, plus other regional action. Coverage begins at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on Fox. Check local listings.
Randy Myers with 45 saves on the year, 1 blown save. That was back on May 3rd. A 2-run homer by Jason Giambi of the Oakland Athletics. The Orioles lost that ball game. That is the only time that Myers has failed this year. Remarkable year.
Grissom out in front, ball 1. Randy Myers might go right through the Indians 1, 2, 3 without any problems whatsoever, but you got to consider it a bit of a risk to take a guy like Scott Erickson out the way he's rolled right through the first 8 innings.
Well, this is what Davey Johnson has done throughout the year. You remember early in the season, Mike Mussina was taken out of a ball game, cruising along, felt he could finish the game. Randy Myers came in to save it. Mussina was very upset, but Davey Johnson knows what he's doing when he handles this pitching staff, and he knows that Randy Myers is going to be an important key to this series. Why not get him in there in Game 1, give him an inning of work, get Scott Erickson out there an inning ahead of time, save him for another day.
2-2 on Marquise Grissom leading off. The resume for Myers: one of the best left-handed closers ever. Grissom hooks it foul, still 2-2.
He's had great success in the postseason in his 12-year career. 6th all-time among left-handed closers.
Gets away from Lenny Webster, and Myers wants to know if Grissom tipped it foul. He did, and the count stays 2-2.
Yeah, Randy came running in. He thought that possibly Grissom swung through the ball, trying to remind Lenny Webster. But he did get a piece of it. I think by Lenny going after the ball, that's what alarmed Randy.
2-2 to Grissom. Into shallow center for Brady Anderson. 1 out. From that catch by a center fielder, Brady Anderson, to our Red Lobster catch of the year, Jim Edmonds. How many times have you seen this? You can't see it enough. The all-out dive. And one of the best defensive center fielders in baseball. Not really all that well known, but he can just flat out lay out and go get it.
And if you don't think that was a tough catch, go out in your backyard tomorrow and have somebody toss you a ball directly over your head while you're running away from it and try to catch it. Use a tennis ball, use a wiffle ball. I don't want anybody to get hurt out there, but just an amazing play by Jim Edmonds.
1 out here in the 9th inning, and Bibb Roberts looks to reach base for the 2nd time here in Game 1. Taking a strike, it's 1-1. Strike 2. for the Indians is shortstop Omar Vizquel.
So Randy Myers using that straight changeup to Bip Roberts after the 2 fastballs for strikes. That's the biggest difference in Randy Myers today and 3 years ago when he pitched for the Chicago Cubs. He has a devastating changeup.
1-1. One strike away from his 7th career postseason save. The 1997 American League Championship Series goes to the Baltimore Orioles, in large part to the efforts by Scott Erickson tonight. 8 shutout innings and only 4 hits, 3 strikeouts, no walks. He is tonight's Chevy Truck Player of the Game. Brady Anderson, a heck of a first inning, took a home run away and then pounded one over the right field wall. We'll be back. Chip and Steve will be along after these messages. Much more to come from Camden Yards after the Orioles' 3-0 win in Game 1.
ALCS is in the books. Baltimore wins it 3-0. One of the stars of the game, Brady Anderson, stand with me. Brady, in the first inning, great defense. Then you come up with a big home run. You've done it 27 times leading off a game. Couldn't have been looking for a breaking ball right there.
I'm just looking to see the ball. You know, he has 3 pitches and they're throwing it anytime they can. So I'm really just trying to get a good pitch and you know, obviously not trying to hit a home run, but I'm not sitting on a breaking ball either.
Talk a little bit about Scott Erickson. Did a great job. Kept the ball down in the zone when he's down there. He's awfully tough. A lot of ground ball outs tonight.
Exactly. He's, you know, not many guys can throw a 95-mile-an-hour sinker. And, you know, you can see his ball move a lot from center field. You know, he has the good stuff. But he still has a very good slider that he can keep hitters off balance with. And, you know, to dominate a team like Cleveland, you know you have to have your good stuff.
All right, Brady. Thanks a lot, man. Good job. All right, Joe, back up to you guys.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. This one quick and easy, just 2.5 hours for Game 1. It belongs to the Orioles, 3-0. Back with more from Camden Yards after this.